I want to do is be remembered for this, you know. I want to leave a legacy behind for everyone that ever loved me.
What made Bray Wyatt Bray Wyatt? Well, since we lost this creative powerhouse of a WWE superstar, fans have only pondered this more and more. And one of the things that I think made Bray Wyatt so special was that as far out there as his character went, we believed it. And I think we believed it because he believed it. At least that's how it came across. Over the years, I got the absolute privilege of getting to talk to Wyndham, or maybe it actually was Bray, about who he was as a character. Starting with his beginning in NXT, Bray and I got to speak about the character, or lack thereof, the rise of the Wyatts, facing legends like John Cena and The Undertaker at WrestleMania, what it meant to be surrounded by Harper and Rowan, dipping down the card, and then coming all the way back up to become WWE champion and beyond. We'll talk about Bray Wyatt for a long time, no doubt. This is a collection of thoughts on Bray, as told by Bray Wyatt.
Well, listen, a lot's happened to you over the last year or two. I mean, we're here in the Performance Center. This is where the Wyatt family kind of came to fruition. What's the thought process that goes into, like, okay, we have something that works on this small scale on NXT. It really works. People are dying for this thing to get on the main roster, and now I have to do it in an arena full of people.
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears went down in this building and the little building in Tampa, the warehouse where we came from. And we like to think of ourselves as like the first product that came out of NXT. You know, of course, the Shield got lucky and they got up there before us, but we were as is.
Right.
Like everything about the Wyatt family, we were already existing down in Orlando, making a name for ourselves. And I think it speaks volumes, you know, for the NXT crowd, because like at the time, only like Canada and like a few other countries were getting the product. And we really felt it the first time, you know. We were traveling and we're doing shows in America, and a couple people know who we are, but not really. And the first time we went to Canada, we came out, and it was just an unbelievable ovation. And that was the first realization that we had, that, man, the people of this NXT thing is really catching on.
Right.
And people are really getting into this, and this is real, you know?
So do you have this awareness right before you go out in front of the first giant crowd that this is either going to be huge or we're going to look like fools?
I never once doubted.
You didn't?
Never, because I already knew. It was already proven.
Right.
You know, when we were down here, you know, we were. I can be honest when I say I was obsessed with it. You know, I was obsessed with becoming something, and I think I've realized that dream now, and I think we all have, and we're blown away by how far we've come in such a short period, and we all know that there's a lot more to come. You know?
Yeah. When you come on so strong, and you start, you know, within your first year, you've got matches with Cena, you got matches with Jericho, you got all this stuff going on. Do you, if you're not on a pay-per-view, do you panic and say, oh no, this is escaping me, it's over? Or do you go, I got so much, like this is working, I'm not worried about it?
Are you kidding me? What comes next for Bray Wyatt will peel the skin back from everyone's forehead.
Really?
This is nothing.
Uh-huh.
It's a joke.
You're constantly working on developing the character. What's next? What's next?
It evolves on itself.
Uh-huh.
You know, I don't have to. Like I was saying, there is no character, man. It happens naturally, man. It's it's the evolution of me.
Yeah.
And missing a pay-per-view, come on. You think I'd just miss a pay-per-view for no reason?
Uh-huh.
Come on.
I love it. I mean, that makes me feel like there's something going on. Well, listen.
Maybe there is.
This is a big time to be Bray Wyatt, because you've got the big Undertaker match this year at WrestleMania. Right. How important was the streak to you? Obviously, that was what the last 22 Undertaker matches have been about, the streak. Now the streak's broken, and you're the first guy to pop up after. Is it a bummer? Does it make the match more interesting?
To me, the first 22 matches were about the Undertaker. It wasn't necessarily about the streak. It was just forming this this legacy, this empire behind the man we know as the Phenom. And what I like about it is that there is no streak now. There's nothing. There's no reward held over his head like that anymore. There's no pressure. The pressure comes from this year. It's not about him. It's about me. This is mine. I created this. I called him out. I put the road down for him to walk, and challenge was accepted. But it's my time now. It's my match. It's my WrestleMania, and when the Undertaker does show up, he's gonna have to kill me basically, because this is mine, and that's how I really feel.
What do you think of these giant matches for you? Because you're a young guy, and you've been given a big spotlight to shine. You had John Cena last year, which is a huge match. He's the face of the company. You've got Undertaker this year. Is winning and losing that important for Bray Wyatt, or is just having the spot at this point in your career really the reward?
I think a mixture of both. This is something I wanted to get across here. I'm not trying to become Undertaker in no way, shape, or form. I'm trying to be Bray, and I'm trying to create my own legacy. So going forward, all these big matches and all these giant, things that I've done and what I'll do in the future, it all will, end with a message, that I'll be remembered for. And I want one day for a young guy to find out that he is going to be wrestling Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania, and I want everyone in the room to come congratulate him, just like you are congratulating me on, wow, this epic opportunity of getting to wrestle The Undertaker at WrestleMania. I want that,
Do you think more people need? It seems like you think about being Bray Wyatt very differently, almost old school, like the way characters, the way wrestlers used to be. Whereas this is not a character as much as it is an extension of your personality. Nobody really knows where the line is drawn, and you're thinking long term about it. You're thinking Bray Wyatt as Bray Wyatt is going to be around. I'm not just riding a wave. I'm kind of crafting a thing, and this is what works now, because 10 years from now, we're still building this road. Do you think more people should think about characters like that when they're developing personalities?
Yeah, I mean, I never saw myself anywhere but this. This was, this is my dream. This was my dream, and it will always be my dream. I'm not one of those people that's like that wants to come here and do whatever, and and dance over here and do this and be on Stars and blah 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 stupid shows. This is who I am, and this is where I want to be. Why would I ever want to leave this behind?
Right.
This is what I actually care about. I don't know that I could give myself to something as much as I've given myself to this. It just wouldn't be real. And that authenticity, that is what I try to give the people that watch me. I want them to know that I'm not trying to play any tomfoolery here.
Right.
I want them to know that I'm giving them everything, and that I mean everything I say, and every movement I make is all because I just have to have them believe that it's me. It's all me the whole time.
When did things click? Because obviously you had a short career before we saw Bray Wyatt, and you didn't have a real identity, but you obviously had a passion for what you were doing. When did it click that you were like, wait, this is the person I need to become, this is the person I need to put on display? Like, what was that moment?
When I was forced to be something I wasn't. I was Husky Harris. And that wasn't me. That was fiction. That was fallacy. It was crap. It was something. It was the blueprint of our society is forcing me to be something that I don't want to be. And it took me to a very dark place in my life where I had to start figuring out things, and I was so miserable and so full of hate and rage that I had to have some kind of outlet, and this became therapeutic to me. Like, you remember, you guys should both remember this. You remember Steve Austin in ECW?
Sure.
when he started becoming Steve Austin, it was the same exact experience. So here's a guy that's been forced to be something because it fit right into the times, you know. Here's pop culture. Be our pop culture guy. Be our pop culture guy. You're not stunning Steve Austin. He never was. He was always the rattlesnake. And when he was allowed to be the rattlesnake is when he came out to light. And the first time I went out there with a mic, and you're supposed to, we used to do like these things where you'd have a minute to talk. And I would do 8 minutes because I didn't care anymore. And if I was going to be let go of me. Let me go. You know, yeah. I have to let you know that there's more to me. I have to break the rules so that I can grab you and shake you and say, notice me, you know? And that was the only outlet I had. So as much as I could, I would just boom, 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 boom. And I remember the first couple times I did it, I'd walk out and everyone would be like, whoa. You know, it was the first time that I felt that, you know, and it was an addiction, you know? The first time I let it out, and I finally felt like, and I could see it, and you know it's real, and you know it works. When all your peers that see this crap over and over and over, they tell you, "Wow, man, that was really good."
And they don't want to admit it's good because you are competitive.
Right. Yeah, 100%. You know, and when they do, you know, it's an ode. You know, there's really good people in this industry, in this company, and I've been very fortunate.
How great is that, though, to get to that point? At the time, I'm sure it doesn't feel great, but you hear that a lot of people, to really get to the point in your life that you're supposed to be at, you have to be pushed to the point where you're willing to just give everything up. You don't care anymore, and you can finally get there.
That's 100% right, you know? It's like you don't know your limits, man. And I have limits that I haven't faced. I'm sure Undertaker will help me get there, but you know, there's limits, you know, that I haven't reached yet, and it's, well, we only have this one life, man, and if you're not willing to seek and find, you know, things that you can't find from your couch, you know,
right? You
have to go out there and you have to live, man. You have to see and you have to be. You know, there's so much out there that no one really knows about. But it's these life lessons that are going to develop you, and you're going to live this life that the only one you've got to its fullest potential. Right. And I can recommend that, man. You know, go on a journey, man. Take your life on a different place. Find who you are.
What? Go ahead.
Things click, and you have this moment, and you're feeling it, and you know it's working. Yeah. Is it for you? Was there power in numbers coming out with Luke and Eric? And will there be, or did you like being the front leader of the three of you, and do we ever see that again?
Of course. I mean, there would be, if I had it my way, 100 different Wyatts, you know, over the time. But those two will always be my brothers. You know, we just fit together in a time when three guys that look like us would have been, you know, chopped liver. No one looks at them and says, oh, these guys could maybe change this whole game.
I grew up loving the song, He's Got the Whole World. You wrecked that for so many children and adults.
That's where I got it from. There was a little girl.
Never sound the same again.
There was a little girl sitting on an airplane or a bus or something, and I was laying with my eyes closed, and I could hear her going, he's got the whole world in his hands. And I just looked behind her, and she just smiles at me. And I was like, wow, that's deep, man.
Whoa.
And that's where it came from. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
That's pretty amazing. How did you take the news when you found out that not only were you getting The Undertaker at WrestleMania, but you're talking people into this match? The Undertaker's not going to be on TV. It's not going to be matches leading up to this. It's not going to be promos. It's you for about 6 weeks just convincing people every week that this is something that they would want to see.
That's what I said, man. That's why this one is so special, because this one is not about the streak. This one is about, where is Undertaker? Is The Undertaker? I mean, is The Undertaker? And it's really about Bray Wyatt.
Right.
And this is Bray Wyatt's coming out party. This is my WrestleMania. No one else's. I don't care who's the main event. I don't care who else is on the card. This is my WrestleMania.
Is it difficult for you because like the build for this match has almost been separate from everything else that's going on? Like there's everything going on in WWE, and there's everything going on with Reigns and Lesnar, and there's all these storylines happening, and then apart from all that, is you ignoring the roster and just talking to this guy who we haven't seen on TV in a year. Do you like being separated from everybody as a performer, or do you kind of wish you were more in the mix of things?
No, there is no better mix than the Undertaker.
Yeah.
I mean, so whatever they got, they can have their main events and their flashy titles and this and that. I'm right where I need to be.
And would you have preferred to build this match with, like Katie was saying, people behind you, or do you like that in this moment you're completely alone?
I love my brothers. I will always need them. But right now, this is a journey I have to take alone, and we all knew that. We all knew what was coming, what I had to do, and what they had to do. And this is something I had to do on my own, and I'm very proud of it, and I will be very proud Sunday night.
When you debuted, I want to get in. I just thought people were chanting because you're talking about Husky Harris, and your first time on TV, people were chanting that name at you. Did you look at that as, all right, I'm going to be able to beat this? Because obviously within a week it was done. Nobody ever thought of that name again. Did you look at that like, I can't believe these fans screwed up my thing? Or was it like, that's going to be temporary because we've got this?
Well, when I heard the roar, I mean, dude, it's such an unexpected thing to see. If you look at how we came, I mean, those things were shot for a bucket of fried chicken and a quarter. You know what I mean? This is just us out in the field. We didn't need all your special effects and this and that, but the impact, that roar when we walked out of there, and we finally said, we're here. And then, it came up. You weren't there. Were you there? You weren't?
I wasn't in the building, no.
Well, if you were in the building and you were right where I was, you would know this. When I walked out and those idiots started doing that Husky crap, there was a whole section behind them grilling them for doing it.
And you saw that?
Yeah. So it was an immediate respect of nice try.
Right.
You failed. And the people behind them squashing it. Yeah. And there'll be one guy randomly here and then to try to impress his girlfriend or whatever he's doing. But that's not, I could care less. When you see them all and they got the lights,
right.
Then, yeah, I know that I've earned their respect.
One of the first things I ever said on WWE television was, Bray Wyatt is open to the world's interpretation. And I haven't been advertised in a huge match like I have been the previous few years, and I think that's kind of freaked people out. And to me, that's been a reward.
Is that right?
Yeah, because like it's cool to know that people care this much about me, that they're asking about me, that they're wondering. For so long, people were telling me they were tired of hearing me talk. And now they don't get to hear me talk, and now they're begging to hear me talk. And like to me, it's been a really cool thing, and I don't know how they would believe in any world circumstance that I would just not be at WrestleMania or in WrestleMania.
That's the path, right? We do John Cena, then we do Undertaker, then we just stay home.
Yeah. What are you, insane? Of course, I wouldn't be out here if I wasn't doing something.
Right. You wouldn't have come to Dallas.
No,
I'm not.
Absolutely not.
I'm absolutely not doing that. Now, what do you think it is about what you do that makes people so impassioned? Because I've said it, and I mean, I've gone on rampages on the wrestling podcast about week by week on Monday Night Raw, whether I like or I don't like what's happened to Bray Wyatt. And I've said under no false pretenses that I will burn arenas down if the right thing doesn't happen to Bray Wyatt.
That's
He
fair.
spends a lot of time talking about this.
Yeah.
Very facetious.
I was being facetious. I'm not an arsonist.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. Like, I don't think when we set out and we finally got the call up, I don't know if we really understood what we had. We just Like, we knew the NXT, the crowd had like responded so well to us, and they just kind of like attached themselves to us. And when we came up here, we never in a million years thought it was going to explode the way it did.
Right.
And it did. It exploded.
And immediately.
Yeah. And it was just like that kind of thing, the right place at the right time. And because people, we were so different, man. We were so different. I don't think the company knew even how to use us. What are these things? Like
Right.
Like we were so different in the promos and so different the way we looked and how we moved. We were big and we would fly and do all this crazy stuff. Like, I don't think anyone expected us to be so complete.
Mm-hmm.
And they still don't know how to use what we are. And nobody does, like the fans don't understand us completely. We don't even understand us completely. And that's the curious case of Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, do you kind of, in terms of the direction and the way the company decides to use Bray Wyatt and the family, do you kind of sit there and have to say, okay, well, let's see what position I'm put in, and it's my job to make the best of it? Or do you get frustrated at, I thought we were going here, and now we're over there?
Any time that you care about something as much as we do, especially like I obsess over this stuff. Like, this is what I think about. This is what I do. But it's out of this miserable period that I've kind of like come into my own again. Like, I feel inspired again, because it was in the beginning. Where all this came from was when I was thrown away like a piece of trash, like years and years ago. I'm sure you can figure out what I'm talking about.
I can.
I was thrown away like a piece of trash, and I instead of feeling sorry for myself, which is very like me to do, I would imagine, I got so angry and so frustrated at the world and this company, everything around me, that like that's where it all came from. And it's almost like I need these valleys,
obstacles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they help me create. Like,
right.
I start feeling like I want to change this about myself. I want to change this about myself, and like losing Harper has really pissed me off. Like all these things, they always work themselves out.
Mm-hmm.
They're the things that I actually need. I just didn't know it.
What does that
makes any sense?
What is that feeling? And I get that, because it's like, in order for the Bray Wyatt character to work, you have to feel it. Yeah. And in order to feel it, it's like, what am I raging against? Like, if everything is going well for me at work and the character is going the way it should be going and everybody's like, what's there to rebel against? I want to keep doing it the way you want to do it.
Dude, I'll tell you what, like today I was talking about a few years ago, I was about to come up, and we were at a WrestleMania in New York. And I was doing an autograph signing, and it wasn't like this. It was like, the WWE guys were all doing their stuff down here, their autograph signings, and I was up in a balcony in a corner, and and I had a line full of about 50 diehard NXT guys, which was young at this time, you know. So, and we all had this attitude about ourselves, like back in, Seth and, Big E, and like a couple of us, Roman, Dean, we were all had this attitude about ourselves that we were just like, screw these guys. This is, when we get it, we're going to take it, and we're going to destroy all these cartoon characters, And that was our mindset. And I remember standing at my autograph signing, calling all the guys up on stage, in my autograph line, and we crumpled up all the papers, and we're throwing the papers down at the WWE guys. They're kind of looking at us like jerks. I'm screaming and yelling, and I'm saying horrible stuff, and that was the kind of attitude that I had. Yeah. And that was what brought us here. Yeah. And like you're absolutely right. It's like I need the machine to rage against. Right. And if these bad things don't happen to me every once in a while, I'm useless.
You forget the essence of the character.
Yeah, I don't want to be the man.
Right.
Right. That's not my role.
Right.
It's not to, become everything I hated.
Right. Right.
Essentially.
I think one of the best things about live shows, and I wonder if it's something that's lost on you, is obviously the Firefly experience. Right. And fans
Yeah, no matter what
no
happens,
matter-
they're there.
Is that just feel as epic as it looks every single time?
Yeah, I mean, imagine 100,000 of them in a couple nights.
Crazy.
You know, like to me, that's the coolest thing that has ever come of this. And I told a story over there about the first time one of our vignettes aired. Vince was baffled because my name was trending worldwide, and nowhere in the vignette did it say my name. Like, how do they know who he is? And it's just a cool thing like that that the fans have always took to us. Because if you look at this. There is a picture literally right there of us 3 giant-looking crazy men, tattoos, holding alligators. Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't attach yourself to that. That every sense of that picture has danger in it. Right. But people have always attached themselves to us, and we, for the life of us, we don't understand why. The only thing we know is that we love doing it, and we love being who we are. You know.
Were you?
And the Fireflies is.
When did that originate? Do you know?
Yes. Because I didn't realize it was going on. It was the night that I did this promo, and it's become known as the Miss Teacher Lady promo. And I walked out in London, O2 Arena, and it was just lights everywhere. I didn't even realize it. Harper grabs me and he goes, "Do you see this?" And I was like, "See what?" Whoa. Like, my brain couldn't even pick up on it. But it was like once I had seen it, like I remember just being in a daze of, wow, that is really wild. I didn't realize it was for me. I thought it was for everyone, you know. like, and then it became something later like that. And it was in like I was never like, oh, let's call them the Fireflies. You know, it's never something like that. They called themselves the Fireflies, and it became their own thing. And that's what is most beautiful about it to me, is it wasn't created by one person's hand. It was created by the fans on their own, you know? I never asked them to do it. I never told them to do it. They did it on their own. And now it's become a spectacle. Like, almost a piece of what you pay to come see at a WWE show is Wyatt entrance, you know? It's a cool thing. Really cool thing.
And
really
buy
cool.
a sheep mask.
And to buy a sheep mask.
Yeah.
A couple of them now. You're selling black ones, too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, 2 different sheep masks.
I don't sell them. Someone else does. Whatever.
That's the man.
That's
the man selling them.
Take your cut, sir.
Happens and you end up in a prime slot on SmackDown and win the heavyweight championship of the world. Like,
It's been a ride.
yeah, has this all been hitting you like all at once crazy? Because the tag titles weren't that long ago. That was the first championship that you won.
Yeah.
And then to go from that, be like, okay, now it's time for the world title. You're like, whoa. Like, it took so long to get here. The fact that it's all coming seemingly so quickly.
No, I think that was, I think people expected it of me a long time ago, and I definitely expected it of myself. And it was everything that I wanted to obtain while I was here. And the tag titles was a beautiful thing because, it'll go down as me and Randy won them. And me and Randy were pretty much unstoppable at that time. It was a shame, if we had been on the same page, we'd probably still have them right now.
Yeah.
We could just decorate the whole place with all of them.
Yeah, you'd be the new horseman. You just have an overall.
Yeah. So, this is a huge deal for me. It's made my life's work complete, Here we are.
Yeah. So is that what happens? Like, I always wonder, like, do you feel like everything after now is just like the icing? Like, you've done it, you've got your moment?
No. There's a lot of stuff I have to do yet, This is something that was very important to me. And this is something that will cement me, forever. I will be remembered as something, special.
Yeah.
But my body is ready to roll for another 15 years,
Really?
Yeah, so I'm not looking at stopping any point. And I got a lot that I want to do, a lot that I want to achieve,
You do that deliberately, like, how to maintain your body? Because I feel like it looks like, as we're watching, you're throwing yourself around a lot. And it's not like you wrestle limited dates. Like, you wrestle all the time.
Yeah, I've literally spent my entire life destroying my body.
Right. So how do you know you got 15 years left?
I just know.
You do. You do.
I got nowhere else to go.
Because I got nowhere else to go.
Yeah, this is where I belong. And and hope would have it that I last that long.
Yeah.
That's where I see
How
myself.
do you feel about the comparisons? Because I feel like they came up at first, and they started to slip away a little bit, and now with this run, I feel like they're coming back. the comparisons to the Undertaker character, like because that Bray Wyatt character, I think because it's so all-encompassing and so obviously a part of you, gets compared to the Undertaker, who, again, there's a split off between the character and the person there.
Of course. Yeah, but it's for me to be compared to the Undertaker is, unbelievable. And I've been in there with him. I did a WrestleMania against him 2 years ago, and another one against him and Kane. I don't think that if you put us side by side and you watched our work, they're not similar. They really aren't. I mean, it's the dark stuff that people that kind of brings us together, and people want to branch us, But the thing is that we are completely different, and I think that wrestling needs that kind of dark entity in it,
Yeah.
And I just think that I bring it in a completely different way, but it's still that entity that people need. They need that part of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
That kind of takes you out of the elements, It's not two guys in MMA shorts, rolling around. It's magic and it's
storytelling,
your imagination.
Yeah.
And it's very essential, I think, to what we do in this industry, that someone like me, someone like the Undertaker exists.
What did you grow up liking about wrestling? Was it because your family is kind of synonymous with both ends of the spectrum? Was it that sort of more southern wrestling? Trunks, two guys get in, you know what I mean? Like, or was it the characters and the heavy storytelling that the WWF was doing at the time?
100%. It was the storytelling, and stuff like that. Like I've always been a huge fan of like horror movies. I like the feeling of the thrill, and I've always been attached to those kind of movies. So naturally, the progression was, when I started watching wrestling, it was the more characters always caught my eye.
Right.
Like one of my earliest memories of this was Papa Shango and Ultimate Warrior, and Papa Shango having the nasty black green ooze coming out of it, Ultimate Warrior with the voodoo.
Yeah.
And I think that type of stuff is the stuff that really sticks in my head,
Yeah, and it's amazing too because people look back on Papa Shango now like it was kind of like a goof, like that was a silly character. But I remember being 8 years old and being in an audience and hiding, terrified of Papa Shango, and I thought voodoo was real.
Yeah.
It was like there's oil coming down the Ultimate Warrior's head right now.
And that's the thing, is voodoo is real.
Right.
And there are people in this world that take that very, very serious.
Yeah.
But all of those characters, you have to have them.
So is that something that you take very seriously as the origins of what your character talks about? So if you portray it in a way that's not, it's like being a rapper, right? Like when you're a rapper and you act like you're from the streets, eventually somebody from the streets is going to come up to you and be like, you're not from the streets, I'm going to prove that. Like, is it like the voodoo culture? If they see their culture being appropriated in the wrong way, you know what I mean? That's got to be an important...
Oh, I'm sure they would, but, I live this.
Right,
so,
that's what I mean.
So for anyone to call me out on anything that I've said or that I've done and try to falsify what I've done, they can try.
Yeah.
They don't... This is me. This is real. You're really talking to me right now.
Yeah.
There is no one else.
Right.
So everything I say has to be right because I am him. I am him. We are we.
And I buy it. I mean, every interaction I've had with you, I love when people come to me and they're like, well, when you interviewed him, was he in character? I'm like, that's it. It is what it is. Like, you're seeing it.
Yeah.
What was your favorite entrance that you've done at WrestleMania? I guess the two that stick out. I mean, last year was big just because of the segment it was in. But the two that really stick out was, of course, 30 and 31.
Yeah.
Were both kind of incredible.
Yeah, and the one with Undertaker was kind of cool because you got to see us back to back. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was dusk and it was different. Last year it was unreal, man.
Yeah.
Like seeing all the lights and 106,000 people I don't know if anyone will ever top that, if I can ever top that, like being as a visual, but the first one was the most important to me because it was my first one. It was in New Orleans, it was very important. And that's the one that I hold dearest to my heart.
Do you strive for that moment, like when you're sitting there and you're psychologically, you're not in a good place, like you don't, like a year ago, like do you just go, I just need to get to the moment when I get out in front of people and I see those lights? Because it's like you don't even need, you get an audible reaction, but you don't even need the audible reaction. You can just look around and visually see the support? Like, are those, when you're not in a good place, are those the moments that you're like, I just have to get to the next one of those?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, if I wasn't ever down, I could never be back up. You know what I mean? So it's like I thrive on these times, and it happens just naturally in my head that when I'm thrown in the dirt, like I cannot wait to get back up. And it is those moments, you know, getting in front of a crowd and going out there with someone and just completely stealing the show.
Yeah.
You know, those are the things you want. Yeah, I want to do.
Right.
And like the changes in me as a person, as my character, where I started, where I am now, and what's next. Like those things are intriguing to me. You know, what I want to do is be remembered for this. You know, I want to leave a legacy behind for everyone that ever loved me.